So they want us to throw in the towel, huh? If we did that, that would make them very happy. I don't want to make them happy. Will there be challenges to overcome on the horizon? Yes. How do people think we got this far? Struggle. 60 years ago, when Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera were hustling in 1965 at the ages of 14 and 15 in Times Square, did they face challenges? Yes. Did they give up? No. Listen to me, and mark my words here. Justice is coming. She just sprained her ankle, but she will get here eventually. And when she does, that girl is going to be pissed. Love you all, Mama Renee.
And I'm Siobhan.
And she, they, just like me.
For real.
Hey, girl.
Hey, girl.
We're still here.
I said I'd see you on the other side, and, we're on the other side.
Wow, check it. We don't need to tell you what the fuck's been going on, you know.
If you're listening to this into the far future, Donald Trump just got elected to his second term. It is 11/11/2024.
Make a wish. I can't say what my wish is on the air.
Yes.
We opened the episode with a video that I stumbled across on Instagram Reels that I sent Siobhan. And I've been seeing a lot of videos lately of people from the long time ago when things were, and I know it might seem very hard to picture that in the current weather and climate, but even scarier, even more dangerous for people like us, and just their perspective and scope, I think, is so incredibly valuable.
Her name is, it was in the caption, Renee Imperato.
Like, I don't want to devalue or diminish or dismiss anyone's fear right now, because it's scary as fuck. Like, there's no denying that. There's no two ways about it. But to know that our community has been through way scarier times is slightly hopeful. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. Like our trans mothers and fathers who have survived, they have a lot to teach us and they have a lot to show us. And if you can connect with trans elders like that, if there are some in your area, if you could find them, I would think that they're very valuable for us right now to learn from and, to hear their stories. Because, living through the AIDS crisis, living through Reagan. I saw a thing recently that Reagan, for no reason at all, no one was even talking about trans people, he took HRT off of Medicare, and then private companies followed suit.
Jesus.
Yeah, so literally, nobody was even talking about trans people. He was just a hater to be a fucking hater, and he made it harder for trans people in that era. So I
am glad Reagan's dead.
Yeah. I also am glad that, he's eating jelly beans in hell or whatever.
And they're all black licorice, because fuck him.
Oh, God, I hope so. Or whatever his least favorite, because he was a fucking perverted old man. Maybe he likes the black licorice flavor. You know what I mean?
You're probably right. He probably likes the pear jelly bellies, too. He likes all the worst ones.
I hope in a sort of Tantalus kind of situation, he is starving for jelly beans, and demons surround him and are eating jelly beans in front of him, but not giving him one for all eternity. That's what I hope.
I hope that Ronald Reagan is standing outside the candy shop window with his nose pressed against the glass like Charlie Bucket in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and the candy man is just taking scoops and pouring them into all the other ex-presidents' hands. And Ronnie's like, they don't even like jelly beans. Why are you giving Abraham any? He doesn't even know what they are. But yeah, that's what you fucking get for being such a gigantic piece of shit.
Real.
Last episode, when we last left you, we were going to talk about Gock Presents Gock, and time simply got away from us. But this time we are back, and we're going to talk about this damn thing from pillar to post. And Siobhan, I'm going to go ahead and say this.
Okay.
And correct me, stop me if you think I'm being hyperbolic here, but I think this album here that we're talking about today has the chance to be the next Transgender Dysphoria Blues, as required listening, no skips. I think it's only 8 fucking songs.
Yeah.
It's in and it's out. It's so goddamn good. Every fucking song hits. And it hits all the emotions, really. It hits on joy, it hits on remorse, it hits on loneliness, it hits on dysphoria, obviously.
Yeah.
It really touches every bit of the trans experience, really.
It's probably going to be more of the next she, her, hers self-titled, if I had to compare it to another record.
I can see that, actually.
Yeah, just because, like, one of the things that makes Transgender Dysphoria Blues such an interesting piece of art is also what makes it so unique about, like, this like, rock star at, like, the height of her power and fame transitioned and wrote about that experience. And I think that that's so singular, where I think this is more similar to the She, Her, Hers record, where it hits on all those high points. And it's sort of just this like expression of like a new band on the scene that sort of formed around the trans experience. You know what I mean? That's my take on it personally.
Oh, definitely. I mean, there was no joy on Transgender Dysphoria Blues. Now that I really step back and think about it.
Yeah. What it really reminds me of more than anything else is like an early Blink-182 record. You know what I mean? Like Cheshire Cat or like Dude Ranch or something like that. It just has this sound of like, it sounds like they're having a great time. And then there's like these like little skits in between or like in the middle of songs that are really funny. Yeah. And it's just like, it's like you just want to hang out with these girls. That's like the feeling that I get from it.
Yeah, I definitely agree and hate that they're in like Ohio or something?
They're from Boise, Idaho. Yes.
Okay.
I've been to Boise, Idaho once, and
have you?
Yeah, I would return only to see Gock play. That's what I'll say about Boise, Idaho. No shade to Boise, Idaho, or anything like that. It's just if I'm going to a city, there's other ones I want to go to first.
Is it not in your top 10? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, Boise, Idaho is not in my top 10 cities. I'm sorry to Boise, Idaho.
And anyone listening from Boise, I doubt you take offense to that. You probably know exactly what we're talking about and agree.
Yeah, they have a really, really cute downtown area. I will say that. It's like a good, like, plain city. Yeah.
I think that's probably the nicest thing you could say. Boise is plain. It's quaint.
Oh, no. Plains, like in the Great Plains.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Yeah. Plains, like, it's... Oh, wait. Actually, no. It's in the Great Basin. Sorry. I'm thinking of something else. Wait, hold on a second. No, I'm sorry. I was thinking of Omaha, Nebraska. I've never been to Boise, Idaho. I'm so sorry to Boise, Idaho. I don't know why Omaha, Nebraska and Boise, Idaho are like mixed in my head, but they're in totally different areas of the country. I'm so sorry.
That sucks. And there's probably a rivalry between the two cities too. So now that you compared Boise, Idaho to Omaha, Nebraska, they're super mad.
Oh yeah, they're definitely competing over the most flyover city imaginable.
They need something to hold on to. Give us this one thing, they say. But going into the album, we're just gonna dive right in. Dysphoria. It opens with one of these skits that I don't know what it is. It just has this like YouTuber being like, hey everybody, I'm Chad, and today I'm gonna give you a simple makeup tutorial. And I know what you're saying, Chad, you're a guy, and you're 100% correct. And then it just cuts off really abruptly, and I don't know if they just, like, recorded that for the album or not, but it was a funny little intro.
It is a funny little intro, yeah. And it also, like, kind of, like, I don't know, it sort of captures that feeling of, like, when you have dysphoria, like, real bad, and you're just like, well, like, here I go. Like, you know, sometimes I joke with myself, like, you know, if I'm having a really bad dysphoria day and I, like, put on a skirt and I'm just like, whew, I'm really giving man in a skirt today. Let's go. You know what I mean? It, like, has that feeling. Like, as a joke, you know? Like, you say that to yourself as, like, a little cope.
Sure.
It definitely has that feeling to it where it's, like, funny, but, you know, there's that, like, it's funny, but it's kind of like disguising the like darker feeling of what dysphoria is like, you know?
Yeah, but in a way that is much more jaunty than songs about dysphoria on the aforementioned Against Me album.
Yes.
This one's way more of a sing-along, tap your toe, even with lyrics like, I do my fucking makeup, but I have to shave my face first. Depression's kicking my ass. This day can't get much worse. Like, we've all been there.
So true, yeah.
The added step of having to shave before you do anything is such an annoying little, like, hump to get over.
God, so true. Like, ugh. And I mean, especially on, like really bad dysphoria days, if I'm not working, if I have a day off, and I have a terrible dysphoria day, I am not fucking shaving. I'm not going anywhere, arguably. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's very deeply relatable to me. And, you know, fuck. Also, just the desire to, like, get laser and electrolysis just, like, rising within me with each passing day. So, yeah, definitely a huge source of dysphoria for me. I'll be there eventually. And in the meantime, you know, I don't have that much shadow if I shave every day. Like, it's okay, you know? I was talking about this with some other girls recently where, like, the other thing about dysphoria is that often it is also a kind of dysmorphia where, like, you are not actually seeing how you look and how you're perceived. You're zeroing in on traits that you find to be frustrating or difficult for you, you know? And that's also, like, reflected in the song, too. There's a line that says, dysphoria looming over you, I can't wash it away. Don't know what I see. Is this even me? Please just take it away, right? Sometimes, like, in my dysphoria, I'm like, I look just like my boy self. And then I look at, like, old photos of me and I'm like, no, actually, I look very different. And I've come a long way. And it's just, you know, it's difficult to, like, make those connections sometimes. And that's because of the, like, dysmorphic aspects of dysphoria, right?
I have those same problems. Like, I'll look at pre-transition like a big thing on Twitter, which I'm probably going to try to not do as much as I used to, just like the pre and post transition pictures, is because every time I post one, I always look at that pre-picture and think, I still kind of look like that, or whatever. Yeah. And, like, no matter how many times people will be like, no, like, all these things are different, like, I'm always going to look at that and go, fuck, not a whole lot's really changed, has it?
Yeah, I mean, well, and that is just your dysphoria lying to you, girl, because a lot has changed for you, let me tell you.
You too, definitely.
Thank you. And also, like, I kind of agree, too. Like, I'm starting to, like, shy away from, you know, the transition timelines so frequently, I think, you know? I mean, there's like some that go around Twitter, like, fairly frequently, and, like, other trans online spaces. And it's like, I think it's good to do. I think it's inspiring to do. But I also think that you're not, like, required to do every single one. And arguably, like, it's probably best if we don't do them that often. Because I think that we're, like, sometimes we can fixate on it too much.
Like, there's one right now, the 2016 election versus 2024 election.
Yeah,
and, like,
I ain't doing that one, champ. Sorry. No one will see what I looked like in 2016, ever, all right?
I was very tempted, but no. Sorry, folks. You're not going to get that one either. One thing I'd mentioned to you was that I'm very dysphoric about my my brow ridge. And sometimes certain angles, it looks way more prominent. But a couple weeks ago, I actually spent some time with my mom and was just kind of hanging out with her. And it just kind of clicked with me in that instance when I looked at her and I was like, holy shit, she has the exact same brow ridge. I got that shit from her. And on top of that, I was looking through some old photos, came across a picture of her around the age I am now. I think it probably would have been her at maybe 34, so a couple years younger. And it's holy shit, we have the same fucking hairline. She would make comments about how I inherited my hairline from my dad. That's not how it works. You get it from your mom, actually. And
that's so interesting.
And I looked at hers and it was holy shit, it's in the same fucking spot.
Oh, I love that. And, very similarly, a thing that I'm very dysphoric about is my chin. I have just a very strong, chin and jaw. My mom has also a very strong chin and jaw. So it's the same kind of thing. I'm dysphoric about it because I'm a trans woman, but my mom looks very similar to me, truly. And I think that can be kind of a helpful way to think about it too, because I think so often we compare ourselves to other trans women, and also cis women too, which just random cis women, which I think is not helpful for us. I think comparing yourself to your mom is the best way to do it. Because you inherit a lot of your face shape from your mom, and you're kind of working with a similar playbook there. You know what I mean? And that can be dysphoria reducing for sure.
There was one other line in Dysphoria that I wanted to bring up because it's such a great line. I think I write these stupid songs because therapy's expensive and you all sing along because we're a sad collective. It's fuck you, we are. you nailed it.
Yeah, God, that's so true. And one thing I try to do a lot is to sort of inject some joy and positivity into things, but it's hard because being trans sucks sometimes, and it's it can be really sad, and we all kind of be sad together, especially around shared pain like Dysphoria. This is a great song, and also just talk about the early Blink sort of comparison. Their guitarist, it would be Ren, I believe, has a lot more chops than Blink-182 ever has. But yeah, it's very similar to if you've ever heard the song "Damn It."
I was just gonna say "Damn It, Siobhan."
I worry about the Blink-182 comparison, especially oh my god, if you are a member of Gock listening to this, I mean that very sweetly, because I know also as someone who plays a little guitar, it's also sort of a backhanded compliment, because Blink-182 is extremely simple music in its composition, I could teach you to play guitar and to play all of Blink-182's music in an afternoon. You know what I mean? It is not hard. It's not complex. Where this definitely has a much deeper layer of complexity to it in its composition. So I just want to make that clear. But also it's a Blink-182 comparison positive, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, I mean, you've mentioned that you were in a Blink-182 cover band at some point.
Yes.
It obviously resonated with you to a certain extent. So I did not think that was diminishing their abilities. If we have any hopes of getting anyone from Gock on the show, we definitely don't want to offend anyone.
Oh my god. You keep doing this to me where we do an album from a group like this, and I just get so nervous about the prospect of actually having one of them on the show. Oh my god, especially because all of them are really hot. I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could handle that. So let's go ahead and just move on to song number 2 and not dwell on that at all.
That is definitely fair. I will also say real quick, and at the risk of repeating ourselves here, I will say the album is extremely diverse in sound and style and genre. All of these songs have a very different feeling, and it really does run the gamut that way. So that's definitely a positive in their column, that they're so varied and can really do anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, this has definitely been in the works. I know I listened to their EP like maybe a couple years ago, maybe last year. A handful of Gock. That's right. From
What a fucking
2020.
name.
I know. That was from just 2022, and that just had Dysphoria, Ally, Eat the Rich, and a song called My Mommy Dom Spit in My Mouth and Now I'm a Commie, which is good too.
Oh my god. Yes.
So I was very excited when I saw they had a full length here. And all these other great songs. So Ally, as mentioned, we talked about it a little bit with friend of the show Pepper's post that went viral, talking about a friend being very happy about Trump winning. This could affect my rights, and the friend being like, well, I'm sorry, I don't agree with that policy or whatever. And I've mentioned this before on the show that I also work with someone who has been in my corner, been saying they, support me and they'll always support me and everything, and then turn around and post Trump memes. And I just fucking had it last week where I just said, fuck it, I'll be cordial with you at work. Like, I didn't say it, but like I unfriended her and everything of just like, all right, you've made it very clear that you do not give a shit about me, no matter how many times you say it, and you're not worth my time. And that's what Ally is all about.
At my job and like in my social like circles with cis people, I feel like a lot of people support me with their words. And like I don't really know a whole lot of like Trump supporters, even though I do live in Texas. I'm lucky enough to have the kind of job and be in the kind of places where I just don't have to interface with those people that often. But I also feel like a sort of constant target on my back. Like I have to, be the good tran, right? I can't make a joke that's like too sexual or too like, like referencing my body or anything like that in the same way that like my cis coworkers can do. And I think I've talked about that on the podcast in the past. And that can be kind of hard because it's like, I'm a person, I like to be a little irreverent, especially like at work when I'm like in a fucking muddy pit digging a hole, like I like to have a good time and be fun. And I also see like my like the cis women who I work with doing that freely. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I don't have that same kind of freedom because I feel like people would react to me or be disgusted by me if I talked about like my body in the same way they do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's so tricky.
People are allies when it's a party, when it's like everyone's having a good time and everyone is like being respectable, But the second it gets hard or the second they have to make tough decisions, they just fold like fucking house of cards.
On the flip side of the one friend that I've pretty much written off, another younger friend, surprisingly, that I work with, who's been very vocal and supportive of me, was very vocal on Facebook after the election and was even arguing with her parents in the comments, sharing very pro trans memes and stuff like that. And when I was DMing her, was just kind of because I'd seen her posting stories to Instagram. She actually did refer to me as her sister, and it was like, oh my god,
that's really powerful.
She was saying like if I needed a hug, she'd be more than willing to give me a hug, and it's just like, fuck, I need this. I fucking need this so bad. Thank you. But you touched on something, not directly, but you reminded me. On Twitter, complimenting trans women is part of the experience. Like, that's just kind of what you do most of the time. I've noticed it's very hard for me to do the same with my cis friends. I always worry that I'm gonna be perceived as like pervy or something, and I'm not even saying anything explicit. Like I'll just be like, shit, get it, girl, or something in a comment.
Yeah.
And they'll all be really nice and be like, oh, thank you, you're so sweet, or whatever. But, like, I do worry, like, do they see me as the pervy guy friend who's trying to hit? When I'm not. Like, I'm seriously just fucking hyping them up, and
you're just trying to be one of the girls. Yeah.
Yes, which is what I've always fucking wanted.
Yeah, no, I feel that. To dissuade some of your, like, anxiety, I don't think that... I don't think that they would see you that way. I mean, I certainly like, I was actually just today giving advice to like another trans girl online who was like talking about like how to, like, she was worried about how she like connects with cis women like at her job and things like that. And I was, and she's worried about like not wanting to be seen as a creep and things like that. And the advice that I gave her was like exactly that. I was like, you should like what I would do is like ask questions and like just compliment their like fashion choices. Be like, wow, that's a really cute top. Where'd you get it? You know what I mean? Because like one, like it kind of ingratiates you with them, and two, it signals your womanhood because it's like, you know, women be shopping for better or worse. Women be shopping, right? And also like complimenting, especially like people's clothes and things like that. Is very non-threatening. It's non-sexual. You know what I mean? And I think it really does like signal your womanhood and makes you like sort of non-threatening. But like more to the point, like I think it's understandable and natural that we might feel a little bit of that fear and anxiety that people see us as like creepy men. And it's hard to get around that, you know, and I've done like a lot of work in my like social settings to do that. And it's tough because it's like people will signal allyship to you so readily, but then you're constantly worrying if it's genuine or not. And that's kind of what this song gets to. The first verse is, it's crazy how you can be so kind when we are behaving and in line. It's clear to me that you still must believe that our rights don't start till we're 18. And I think this is a particularly pressing one because it gets into that like respectability politics that we were talking about. But also like one of the main things that Trump ran on was restricting access to HRT for trans minors. And it seems like a lot of people were willing to throw the rights of trans minors under the bus because they're worried about eggs costing $3 at the grocery store or whatever the fuck.
That was the meme that was like the I've had enough with you, basically, on Facebook.
Yeah.
There was one straight up racist meme, but then there was another one that said something like, I didn't watch the debate last night. I know how expensive groceries are and whatever. And it was just like, oh, fucking K. Good luck with things not getting cheaper because I know it's not going to affect shit.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think? It's just going to be a magic, like, switch is going to get flipped when he takes office? Like, what?
They actually do think that, yeah. And they don't understand that literally every single one of his economic policies that he said is going to make the problem worse. All of them are going to make it worse. And you know, like I was talking about this today. I'm sorry. I'm at this point. I'm so Joker pilled about the whole thing. Where like I'm gonna set myself up. I'm gonna protect myself, my trans husband, the trans people around me in my local community. I'm going to like make us safe. I'm going to connect with local groups to keep people around me safe. And otherwise, I'm leaning hard into nihilism. I am going to be laughing at Trump supporters who were like, I thought you'd make groceries cheaper when they double in price or whatever the fuck. So, fuck you. You did this to yourself. You have no one to blame but yourself.
I'm right there with you and would even go as far as to ask, because I was going to say this at some point, but I think now is a good time to ask, do you ever think about how woefully unprepared cis people are going to be? Like, they genuinely have no idea what community is. They will never have the feeling that we have when we see how supported we are by people in the community. They don't know what that feeling is like, and they won't because they only care about themselves. The individualism is so severe that if they can't even care about the rights of minorities, they're not going to care about other people. They care about themselves. They care about what they can afford. And that is, they can only see past their nose. That's it.
Yeah, I worry about it a lot, honestly. Like, it's like the sort of alienation of capitalism is so strong and like it's so ingrained and at this point at such a late stage that, like, I just think that people have a fundamental empathy problem because of the way our society is designed and the way it teaches and grooms people from a young age. I seriously worry about them. And that's one thing that I'm like happy to have in the like trans and the like larger like LGBTQ community, is that there is this feeling of community. And I also think that, you know, some cis people might get it from like church or like other things that they might do, you know what I mean? And I think that that's one reason why like they stick to like their religious ideals so hard, is because that's sort of their only form of community, their only sort of bulwark against the sort of deep alienation of capitalism. So yeah, you know, a lot of them are wholly unprepared. I'll tell you that, and I think that's why, you know, we need to build a socialist system outside of the government if we're really going to get anywhere. We really have to make that community feeling exist beyond ourselves if we're going to get anywhere. That's my take on that whole thing.
Part of me kind of looks at it like you were saying, kind of like in a Joker way of like, y'all get what you get. But like also part of me, most of me honestly, really hopes that if nothing else comes from the next 4 years, that these people do get radicalized and look at how their decisions fucked them over so hard, and that they actually finally blame the people that do fuck them over and not blame minorities, not blame immigrants, not blame Jewish people, but actually blame the people that they do elect, because they are the ones that are fucking them over continuously, again and again, term after term. And maybe, just maybe, they'll actually start thinking differently and seeing, oh wow, I got fucked over as much as I have noticed the minorities getting fucked over, and I didn't do anything to fucking stop it, and now it's here for me. And maybe at that point they'll fucking change or notice something. Like I posted on Instagram when I was talking with one of my coworkers, was just saying maybe and you know, not naming her by name, but just said like, maybe the white women will give a shit when they outlaw their smut, a very real thing they've talked about doing. Like, only when it finally affects something you give a shit about do they actually kind of start to actually like, oh fuck, I didn't think it was gonna come this far, but then it fucking does. But that's why you need to fucking listen to us.
The famous poem, like, first they came for the trannies and I didn't do anything. And then they came for my boy love smut. And there was no one left to stand beside me.
They came for my monster fucker novel.
Oh my God. So true. And on that point, the chorus of Ally is really good. It's a hard pill to swallow, but that's okay. I don't tend to swallow my pills anyway. Very fun trans femme joke there. So you can do what I do and shove it up your ass. It's time to put your allyship on blast. Hell yeah. Boof your prog, girls.
The first time I heard this song and I heard I don't tend to swallow my pills anyway, I knew exactly where it was fucking going, and I was so fucking here for it. So when they finally did do, and the music drops out for a second on the shove it up your ass, It's the punchline is delivered so fucking well. I love it.
At work, you kiss my ass all day long while your boyfriend calls me slurs. Don't ask what's wrong. My ex-girlfriend, who's also a trans woman, we're still really good friends. She was like best friends with this like cis woman for like a number of years, and her boyfriend was like Satan from hell. You know, like I don't know if you've seen that like that meme going around where it's like every Gen Z couple and it's like, hey guys, did you read that Salon article that I sent you? And then the guy is like the most racist man alive. You know what I mean?
Oh no.
Yeah. And like they were like exactly like that. Like she was like, honestly, like, you know the song Good Luck Babe? the Chappell Roan song Good Luck Babe. That's what I think of every time, because it's like it's clear like to everyone except for her that she was like a deeply closeted lesbian who was like outwardly like bisexual heteromantic, you know what I mean? And everyone was like, no girl, no, you are a lesbian. Like it was like, you know, she would like talk about how much she hated men all the time, constantly. No. And then then she dates like a guy who's like basically a fucking fascist. Like, for real. Like, definitely voted for Trump in 2016. Definitely voted for Trump in 2020. Probably voted for Trump if he's still alive this last election cycle. And it's like...
Right. Oh, well, we also didn't mention how we were going to mention probably how Ally reminds us of Kamala.
Yeah, that's true.
but, like, honestly, does it? Like, I remember we were going to talk about it last week because you were reacting to the video of her being asked if she supported medical rights or just like trans rights in general. And she responded, I believe in the rule of law or whatever.
Yeah, which
just
is
like
so
couldn't
fucked
even
up.
give us. Yeah, that's such a non-answer. And like just looking at like no trans representation at the rallies as far as like speakers, as far as I know. I didn't hear about any. Anytime I did watch a clip from her rally when she would talk about like bodily autonomy and, you know, your rights to your body and everything, it always stopped at abortion rights. It never was mentioned about transition, like HRT or anything like that. It always seemed like a topic that she was more than happy to completely ignore and avoid at all costs.
Exactly, yeah. And you know, now that they lost, like, there's a bunch of these fucking Democrats coming out of the weeds being like, well, we lost because of trans rights. Like, we should have just abandoned this, like, issue beyond. And it's like what do you mean? You didn't even...
What are you talking about?
Like, you didn't even say anything. You did nothing. You know what I mean? Like, the only things that Democrats said about, like, trans rights were either literally nothing or I don't support boys and girls sports or whatever the fuck.
And those candidates did lose. The candidates that were more progressive and did talk about trans rights, they ended up winning. Trans candidates ended up winning.
Yes.
Like, what are you even talking about? There is such a denial spiral right now of trying to blame anyone but themselves, and they're just swinging blindly and hitting everybody. And it's like, look, give it a little bit of time. Hopefully they get their fucking heads out of their asses, because it's already coming to light that the main reason they lost was because they relied on the whole Republican aspect, and they tried to like bridge the aisle too much and not actually talk about anything that we actually wanted.
Yeah.
So I know they won't learn at the end of the day, but I just want one of them to fucking admit it, you know?
Yeah, like, stop being cowards, go on the offensive, actually govern. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much to say about it, but you know, alas, this is a podcast where we're talking about Gock Presents Gock, which I would much rather talk about, in fact. Fuck all the Democrats, fuck each and every one of them. I hate all of them. They're none of them are free from sin, and none shall see the light of heaven. And that's all I'll say about it, okay? Now, Redneck Song is one of my favorite songs on the record by far, especially as a girl who grew up in Texas, as I mentioned before. Mm-hmm. Oh my god. So good. Yeah, it's just about, you know, growing up in a small town. I think the most relevant lyrics are the chorus, which says, you don't know what a redneck is. They're a union man and a socialist. They don't gotta drive a big-ass truck, and they sure as hell didn't vote for Trump. To be a redneck, you must do what is best for me and best for you. Stand up for the American dream. You gotta fight the man who fights for green. And that is just everything to me, because, like, you know what? They're 100% right. Rednecks used to be, like, leftists, okay? Like, listen to, like, old country. They're all talking about, like, you know, literally being union men and, like, fuck these rich people. You know, like, 9 to 5 is a fucking communist anthem, okay? Like,
yes, 100%.
Yeah, and just the fact that, like, so much of rural politics has been taken over by this, like, deeply, like, conservative reactionary, like, belief system that's just all about kissing, like, rich people's boots is, like, honestly a travesty.
The amount of fucking dick riding that Elon gets would make any old redneck throw up. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Why?
Yeah.
Do you think he gives a fucking shit about you?
No, exactly.
I'm from fucking Jersey, right? My parents lived in Jersey their whole lives. That's, you know, you hear about Trump and his bullshit he was doing in New York for decades. They knew he was a fucking piece of shit for forever. So to see him running for office time and time again because he fucking tried this shit in 2000 and no one fucking took him seriously.
Yeah.
Like, you hear the stories about how much of, like, a con man he is. But if you're not from there and you don't hear those stories and all you hear is him fear-mongering and talking about the same bigoted shit that you already believe, you're going to listen to this man because he's going to sound like your fucking savior. But, like, if you took a second to actually look and see that he's not going to fucking do anything for you, and he's proved it!
Yeah, so true. Like, he is out for
so
himself,
enraging.
Okay? And no one else.
Yep. It's a good transition to the next one, too. Because
Yeah.
we're fucking talking about capitalism track after track here.
Yeah, so true. And I definitely want to get to the next song, which is conveniently titled Eat the Rich. But before we do, I just want to say that the skit in the middle of this song is so funny.
Right.
Where it's like, yeah, I grew up on a dairy farm. Like, oh, you grew up on a dairy farm? That's crazy. We just recorded a country song or whatever. And then, like, someone just starts listing their favorite kind of cheese.
Yeah.
That's, like,
Did you
so
know they
cute.
worked at a dairy farm?
Oh
It's
my
like, how
god.
did you never mention that? How did we not know that? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was cute. I did like that.
My favorite kind of cheese is pepper jack. It's just like... like those are the kind of first of all, like it feeds into the like Blink-182 comparison quite well because they used to do shit like that, but it's also funnier than they ever were because you know trans women are the funniest.
It's not even up for debate.
It's not up for debate, and also like I just want to hang out with them. You know what I mean? Like from that,
I know!
like I was like, oh my god, y'all seem so fun. Anyway, Eat the Rich. Let's go.
Yes, please. Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen my partners in a week. Capitalism's got its grip on me. Yellowstone's flooding, world's looking bleak. Capitalism's got its grip on me. Fucking feel you, girl. A relevant line, politicians pay for genocide. Yes. Yes, they
Yeah,
fucking
how
do.
about that?
Yeah, and you know what? Another reason why the Democrats fucking lost is because they kept paying for the fucking genocide in Palestine. So fuck them. Free Palestine, by the way. From the river to the sea.
Definitely.
Palestine will be free. Fuck the IDF. And fuck the Democrats for supporting them. That literally lost them the election. Everyone was saying it. And here we fucking are, okay?
And it's so annoying because did you see people sharing the I don't even remember what they won or what she ended up winning, but they were like, oh, we got a trans woman in Congress or whatever, and it was just like, yeah, well, she's a Zionist.
She's
so
also
who gives a shit?
unfortunately a Zionist. Yeah, it sucks.
Like, we can't have anything nice.
Yeah.
We need to stop being so thankful for fucking crumbs these days of like taking what we can fucking get. No.
So true.
Like,
so fucking true.
like if I'm not going to be happy for a conservative trans elected official, why would I care if they're a Democrat and still a Zionist? Like, I'm not going to celebrate that. I'm not going to be happy about that.
Yeah.
That's not any good. Like, that's not the representation I want or deserve.
100%, girl. I'm completely with you there. And like, speaking of getting crumbs, the line tax write-offs to sponsor corporate pride, another example of crumbs, right? Where they're like, oh, hey, well,
Lord.
you know, we put a rainbow on our Raytheon's like logo. Aren't you happy for us, faggots? And it's like, no, actually, like it does nothing for me. Again, another reason why I'm so glad I went to the Dyke March recently, like this past couple weeks ago. I'm never gonna miss another one of those. That was so good, and it was so refreshing to like have a queer space that was anti-capitalist, that was not sponsored by anything corporate, and you know, it could actually talk about things. So like we actually talked about like what was going on in Gaza, and that felt really good.
Right.
To like be able to protest those things. You know what I mean?
Pick me.
It's so funny. Like, I have no idea who this could be talking about. I've never met a single trans woman like this before.
No. I couldn't name you 4 who host their own podcast.
Yeah, this song is about Brianna Wu for sure. Yeah, definitely Blair White too. Yeah, it's just about a pick-me trans woman. It's really like powerful. I love it. It's cathartic.
I loved seeing Blair White tweeting something. I didn't actually read the tweet. But then Milo Yiannopoulos responded and said, you're going to have to detransition first.
Yes.
Like, they want to seem like they're part of the movement so bad. And they're like, yeah, that's great. Fuck all that tranny shit first, though.
Yes, exactly. Like, they, like fundamentally...
That's what you fucking get!
You know, on one hand, like, I can sympathize a little bit with their plight because, like, you know, and we'll probably get to this when we talk about a later song too, but, you know, there are aspects of, like, trans culture that do not speak for every trans woman, and I think that, like, as a community, we need to get better at sort of recognizing that people have different ways of life. For example, like, you know, the fact that, like, so many trans women are polyamorous, and that sort of creates this, like, environment and culture that is around, like, hooking up a lot of times when really, like, that's not what trans culture should only be about, or we should find ways to put that part of the culture into a box so that it doesn't, like, alienate people. Like, I can understand why, like, people like trans women who might be a little bit more conservative or a little bit more, like, I don't know how to put it, like, not like me. I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, might be alienated by things like that. But, like, to just totally turn it on its head, the way that some of these women do, where they're like, all these other trannies are freaks, but I'm the reasonable one, you know, is awful. Like, so this verse I want to highlight in particular. You're your own worst enemy. Stop shifting blame so recklessly. Tell me, hun, did they pick you yet? You wanted liberation, but now you are the one with the gun. Tell me, hun, did they pick you yet? Your feminism is flawed. Who made you the gender god? Echo chamber applause. They attack us both with their laws. I think that's just, like, fundamentally, like, the point of it, which is that, you know, you can try to be reasonable with them, but, like, they're gonna fucking get you. I mean, it's the same thing with, like, the like LGB queers, where they're like, well, I'm gay, but, like, fuck those trannies, you know, that's gross, that's not what I'm about. It's like as if they're not gonna just keep rolling back your rights next, you know what I mean? Like,
it really makes me wonder how you get to that point. Like, is it really as simple as the grift is an easy way to make money and that's all you care about? That maybe you can make some money in the grift for long enough and then maybe hope that the community accepts you later? Like, what do you get out of actively fighting against your own best interest?
I think that they're actually trying to play a respectability politics game. I also think that the idea that they're just grifting is foolish. I think that they're not just grifting. I think they are true believers in a lot of cases. And I think they are convinced that the reason people don't like trans people is not an inherent, like, dislike of the concept of transition or a feeling of it being impossible, but rather that they see trans people acting, you know, wrong or, like, degenerately or, you know, in ways that are disgusting, and they're convinced that they can convince people that trans people are normal, or, like, their kind of trans person is normal, like the HSTS doll is the normal one, you know, like, they just want to, like, marry a husband and, you know, live monogamously and, like, be a Catholic or whatever. And, like, just showing, like, conservatives that it's like, oh yeah, well, we're not all like that is going to be enough to, like, convince them that they're right. And it's, you know, you see the same thing with the log cabin Republicans, you know what I mean? Like,
oh god, yeah,
like, gay men, lesbian women, there are a lot of Republican lesbians, let me tell you. They just believe that, you know, if they live a normal life as if they were, like, a heterosexual person, except they're not, but they act exactly like it in every way, that's going to be the thing that gets them. It's the assimilationist perspective, for lack of a better word. And you know what? I imagine that there are some conservative people that are swayed by that are like, okay, well, you're acting in a way that I find more permissible. And like, if you want to think of yourself this way, or if you want to like be gay, that's fine, as long as you don't do it around me. I think they are effective in some circles, but the thing is, they'll never actually be fully effective because it doesn't get to the core of the issue, which is that some people just hate gay people. Some people just hate trans people. And it doesn't matter how respectable you are. It doesn't matter how assimilationist you are and how like them you are. They still hate you because you aren't what you should be, which is a cishet. You know what I mean?
The reason I ask if it's a grift, because especially with people like Blair White, is I don't see their goal in what they're doing to try to advance the acceptance of trans people. I don't think they give a shit about that. I really do think it's me, I want to be accepted. Because even if you are presenting yourself as the token trans here, I don't think that if you asked them what their goal was, that they would say the advancements of trans rights, because I never got that vibe from people like Blair especially. Like, you're going on Alex Jones specifically. Like, what do you think that's going to accomplish for us? That's just you and your profile and your money.
Well, yeah, I mean, like Blair certainly is profiting off of it. I do think that Blair is a true believer, though. So, like, I think that she actually believes, and I think that she's actually right in some cases, that, like, she is convincing conservatives of some parts of their ideology being wrong. And I think one of the reasons why we see so much of a focus on trans youth and trans sports is that those are just the two things that we can't make a good argument against in a way that everyone, like, can actually agree upon, where the, like, rights of trans adults, you can have a conservative trans woman explain that to conservatives in a way that they will understand. Now, also, Blair White thinks that all of us are fetishists who are ruining it for her. So I'm not defending
Right.
Blair White. I'm just explaining Blair White from her own perspective, what she thinks that she's doing.
Okay.
And I actually do think that she is somewhat effective in that. Even if I hate her, and even if she would call me an AGP fetishist to my face, you know what I mean? Like, I recognize that she's not my ally. But I have seen her argue with, like, she had a debate with Ben Shapiro one time where she was like, where Ben was like, yeah, I always refer to, like, trans women as he, regardless. And then Blair White was like, okay, well, if we were at a dinner and you were trying to tell the hostess what table you were at because you were supposed to meet me for a dinner, would you point at me and say, yeah, I'm with him over there? And Ben Shapiro was like, no, I would say I'm with her over there because she looks like a woman. You know what I mean? And it's like, that is a W for us, even if it's coming out of the mouth of Satan herself. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes, but also that centers around her passing.
it does. Again,
and her looking like a typical woman. Like, yeah, that's good for her.
Yes.
But ultimately, that's not a win for all of us.
no,
you know?
it's not. And like, I'm not actually defending her. I'm just like,
Oh, right.
I'm saying that I think that, like, to have these heterodox thinkers, like, they can have their use, even if in every time I'm going to argue against the assimilationist perspective. I'm going to argue against this kind of, like, pick-me bullshit. You know what I mean? I also see that there is some utility in it. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, just on a very basic level, there is some utility in it.
Okay.
But also, fuck Blair White.
You know what? At the end of the day, yeah, like, I don't think she does a lot for the community as a whole.
No.
She does possible good for people of her ilk, for conservative-leaning, atypical, passing trans women, aren't, the loud and proud types, who will platform horrible people for, I think her own exposure. I'm never going to platform someone like this on the show.
Yeah.
But I do genuinely, I would love to actually ask someone or like maybe see a video where someone does ask them, like, what is your ultimate goal for the trans community? Like, what is your hope for the trans community? Is it acceptance? Is it tolerance? What is it? Like, is it assimilation? I'm very curious about that.
If only your second mic on this podcast is a girl who has asked girls like that what they think and what their goals are.
Well,
well, I mean, what they want, by and large, is they want there to be less trans people, but they want the trans people that are there to pass and to have access to medical care that will help them and to have respect in society. And what they think is that there needs to be a crackdown on the fetishists. They think there needs to be medical gatekeeping. And they think that we are making it worse for them. And they're wrong about that, and I will fight them on that at every step of the way. That sucks. But also...
that's fucking awful.
Yes, that's fucking awful. But you know what? I would rather that be the Republican platform than trans people must be eradicated from public life, which is what it's currently. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I would rather fight against the assimilationists than the eradicationists. You know what I mean?
It feels like crumbs.
It's crumbs, but you know what? Like... I will let those conservative trans girls fight their fight with the Republicans and lose because they're pick-me's, as the song highlights. That's fundamentally their goal, is that they want to just be regular women. They don't want there to be so many, as they see it, freak trans women running around, which includes me, even though I'm totally regular. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, that's what they think. And there will never be a world where they win. That's just never going to happen.
Is it mean for me to say that I think it's an acceptable thing for these pick-me trans women to fight their losing fight with conservatives with no actual, like, way of winning in that way, if it does mean our... the furtherment of the movement as a whole?
Yeah, and that's what I want, Like, I want them to,
like they can be... Like, I picture someone like no one to be named being basically the hamster in the wheel that fuels the forward momentum of the movement. Like, you can be down there doing your work, but not actually up here actually enjoying the fruits because you sold us out time and time again, and you've said such shitty things. You can run in that hamster wheel with no end in sight, arguing with these people, trying to plead that you're one of the quote-unquote good ones because you pass, because you're willing to platform and talk to fascists. But we up here we can actually enjoy the benefits and everything, because I will openly say it. I don't care how this makes me sound. I don't give a fuck about the fetishists. I don't care who gets access to HRT personally.
Yeah, me neither.
I think anyone should have access to HRT if they want it. Full stop.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck if you're a fetishist. I think you should get it if you want it. And I don't care if that makes me sound whatever, because, like, at the end of the day, and I'll say this again, and what I think is a large thing in our favor, hopefully, is because I've heard Trump say things like he wants to ban HRT access at any age across the country. He only said it once in that video. He did not run on that point. He ran on HRT for minors, but you know where it starts, and you know what they ultimately want. What we refer to as gender-affirming care affects a ton of cis people too.
Yeah.
And I think if cis people realize what is considered gender-affirming care, they will ultimately not be in favor of restricting it once they realize that it actually does affect them a lot, as far as, like, progesterone for menopause treatment, or Even like something as simple as like breast augmentation could be referred to as gender affirming care. You fucking see the video of these dudes getting pec implants pretty much because they don't feel masculine enough. That's gender affirming care.
Yeah, or like hair transplants for bald men, like a similar thing.
Exactly.
And, you know, it's like
100%.
Yeah, and like the thing is that, you know, they will never, no matter what, like, they're not taking away our HRT. Like, even if they ban it, like, we'll just make it ourselves. Like, we can do it. We've done it in the past. Like, they're, like, in no way will they ever achieve the goals that they want, even for lack of trying. But one of the really scary things that I think Trump could do, which would affect access to care in many ways, is removing trans people from, I think it's Section 9 of the Equal like Rights Act, where it's like you can't, it's like the non-discrimination clause, like you can't discriminate people based on gender or things like that, because that's how we got the Florida ban to be paused for a while, which was that we argued in court, cis people have access to HRT, but trans people don't. And cis people can access it through these means that are very easy and straightforward, where you're putting these barriers on trans people accessing the same medication, and that is discrimination based on gender. And they're right. But if they remove us from that, which I think there's a possibility that they could do that, it opens up the doors for more states to pass a Florida-like ban, where it's not actually a ban, but it's a functional ban because of the way that it works, where it just makes it harder for you to get HRT, more difficult, more expensive, etc. And I think that that's the best they could do as far as an HRT ban. I don't think that they could ever ban it by law. I think it just wouldn't stand up. But if they try and if they succeed, if I'm wrong, we'll just make it ourselves.
Banning abortion does not mean the abortion stop.
Yeah.
People still get their abortions. It's just other ways. So yeah, they're never going to get rid of it 100%. They can't.
So true. So yeah, so that's Pick Me. I think we got a little bit off the rails, but yeah.
It sucks to think that the courts could see us as people, then suddenly not see us as people. I hope it's not that black and white, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, well, it's not that they wouldn't see us as people. It's that they wouldn't see our transness as legitimate, which is, I guess, not seeing us as people. Yeah.
In a way.
It's scary, but girls, we're going to persevere, okay? We're going to make it through this. It's not impossible. Remember the words at the top of this episode, all right? Mm-hmm. There never has been, and there never will be a world without trans people in it, okay?
When did we fall under Title IX anyway? Like, that was a relatively recent thing, wasn't it?
That's a good question.
Like, I feel like that happened under Obama.
Oh, God. It happened so recently.
Yeah, I feel like it either happened under Obama or Biden. I think it might have happened under Biden.
It happened under Biden. Oh, God.
Well, the reason I say that is because for the majority of history, we weren't protected.
That's true.
That's what I'm saying.
That's true.
That we were able to get this far without the Title IX protection. Obviously, it's going to suck and it's going to hurt us if we lose that. But we may do without it up to this point.
HRT is not banned in Florida. It's just hard to get a prescription for it. But you can still go through folks. You can still go through Plume. It is not a controlled substance to get estrogen. I'm so sorry, trans men. I'm so sorry. You can actually blame Biden for that. I saw recently that he helped pass a law that makes testosterone a controlled substance.
Really?
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Yeah, and you know, I could see them passing a similar thing for estrogen, but like that would be crazy. Like that would be crazy. I mean, they could do it. Let's not put anything past them. But anyway, fuck. Okay, let's refocus.
We're forgetting Sarah Michelle Gellar.
No, we're on Leash Trained Patriot.
Oh, fuck, you're right. I had that opened. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Least Trained Patriot. You're right.
This is just about the MAGA hats. The sentient MAGA hats. Who think that they're, like, patriots, but really, and they're working class, but they're just fucking rubes.
I don't know if you noticed, but you're being scammed. This goddamn grind is hopeless. It's time to bite the hand. Like we were talking about earlier, if you for a second took a step outside yourself and turned around, I think most complaints people have could be traced back to capitalism or racism at the end of the day. Most problems are caused by either one of those things or a combination of the two. Because you could even say that racism itself is birthed out of capitalism.
Yeah, and you would be correct.
So if you took these people, and I've seen this happen, when you present them with the problem, when you explain the problem and what causes their woes at work, in the housing market, in the economy in general, and you don't call it communism, if you don't call it socialism at first, they will see the inherent value. They've succeeded at making making communism such a boogeyman that no one actually will take a second to actually learn what it means. And I don't think enough people understand what capitalism is, that I think if they even had the most cursory information about it, they would see how they're being fucked over.
Yeah, 100%.
And hopefully that would radicalize people, but I don't know. Some people are fucking in the fucking cult for life, unfortunately.
No, I definitely agree with you, but I mean, also, like, there's a lot of people who vote for Trump because he's not from the establishment, and they think the problem is the establishment. And they don't connect that.
And they're half right.
Yeah, they're half. Well, that's the thing. They're half right. They're half radicalized. It's just that they're radicalized in the wrong direction. I mean, I don't know. And that's one of the things that I've been really thinking a lot about, like the sort of Biden era and like what it was. And like so much of what it was a very progressive aesthetics, but very centrist policies, except for, I mean, he did bail out union pensions, which was really a really good move. He did a good job with that. And, the student loan forgiveness, for everything that he tried to do, he should have definitely done more. But, that was also a progressive policy that he did. But everything else was all about progressive aesthetics, but very centrist policies. And I think that's actually the worst thing that you can do. Because progressive aesthetics makes everybody think that, like, you are this communist boogeyman or whatever, but then not having the policies to back it up means that people's lives are not actually improving like they would if you were to break from the neoliberal sort of, like, hegemony that's, sort of ingrained in our fucking society right now. So really the best thing that you could do is to have centrist kind of, or maybe not centrist, but like a labor-minded, anti-establishment aesthetics with progressive policies. That would fucking work. Because no matter what, they're going to call you a fucking communist, right? But if you actually, like, do things that improve the life of working men, like, or working people, because it's not just men, it's really working people, I'm just thinking about this song and, like, the person in this song.
I'd seen a tweet that I think kind of resonates with what you were saying that says, Trump winning is bad, Harris losing is good. These things can coexist in a rational, ethical mind. Like,
I would agree with that, yeah.
This is going to upset people, I already know, so bear with me. I am not saying that Trump winning was good, and I'm not saying that we should be thankful that he won, so don't get it twisted. But I do think that Trump winning will, in the long run, make our community stronger than if Harris would have won. Because I think with Biden as president, I think people got too comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think we just kind of accepted that everything was always going to be fine. But we should know that when Trump won the first time, that things are always going to be on shaky ground now. And things can always be bad again. And I think that with Trump winning, I've already seen it. And it's not even been a week. yet. Like, it'll be a week tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I've already seen the community come together in a stronger way, in a more unified way than I have in my entire life. Like,
yeah.
it's really super impressive. And I think if Harris won, we wouldn't have done that. I think we probably still would have been skating by, unfortunately, just kind of hoping for better. But I think with Trump winning, I think it'll kind of force our hand to make better, if that makes sense, and not just wait for better.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that, I mean, it's important for us to build community, and it's also important for us to like actually make a real opposition party to like the neoliberal bullshit. Because like, we've got to change the fucking Democratic Party. Like that's the fucking problem with everything, is that like we can't like fight against this like fascist takeover basically, because like all we have is establishment bullshit. And that's not working with people anymore. We need like a real Labor Party,
Mm-hmm. Government will never have our backs, sadly. And we will always have our backs. And I think the more we put in relying on each other and community and less in the government, I think the better we'll all be in the long run.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. We need to build socialism by just building it. You know what I mean? Like, fuck the government.
Yeah.
We can just make this shit. Are we ready to move on to forgetting Sarah Michelle Gellar?
Yes.
Yeah, what did you think about this one?
I remember just how catchy this song is. The shatter my morals, strip them away, do what I must to see you today. And that I stood for seems so gray, shatter my conscience will run away. I'm trying to read through it because you know me. I'm typically more of a vibes girly.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to read through here and exactly like, yeah, I don't know. I didn't know you very long, but you made me feel so strong. I knew I had to move on, but you made me feel so strong. Yeah, that's a bummer, that feeling. That sucks. You get the pieces that make you who you are from your relationships, even if they don't work out.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think it's good to see the positives you walk away from, even if ultimately it wasn't the right thing for you at that moment. I think it still does help build character in that way. And yeah, that's what I get from this.
Absolutely, yeah. And, I don't understand the forgetting Sarah Michelle Gellar part, because I don't see how Sarah Michelle Gellar feeds into this.
Maybe it would help if I've seen Forgetting Sarah Marshall, but I haven't seen that movie either.
Oh my god. Well, yeah, I mean, Forgetting Sarah Marshall is just about, like, moving on from a woman who is dating another man.
Okay.
So clearly it's like in reference to that. It could be about a lot of things. I do think it's about a relationship, but I remember I said, okay, here's a little interesting maybe peek behind the curtain, but in the She Her Hers record on that episode, I said that transitioning to a life without you was a breakup song. And then Emma, She Her Hers,
right,
messaged me, and we've been trying to get her on the show. We'll see. She's hard to nail down, but she was like, "It's funny that you said that, because that song is about my mom." And I went back and listened to it, and I've been listening to it every time, and I kick myself every time because it's actually so obviously about like a mother trans daughter relationship that I'm like really upset that I didn't see it. So I think this one is about a relationship. I think this is a breakup song. But I'm not sure. I suppose it could be about a friendship too.
Well, I guess the only thing that's making it confusing is the shatter my morals, strip them away. Like what that has to do with it. Like the a secret life we could have had. Would hiding away been so bad? Part of me says, let's run away. Deep down, I know I can't be that way.
Maybe it's about like a relationship that you lost because you transitioned. And
it's either
you think
that
about,
or a relationship with yourself.
I can also see that too. It's a very interesting song.
Possibilities abound.
Yeah, and also like sonically, it has such a different vibe from the other songs too.
Yes,
and it's kind of a nice like B-side break from the sort of like really like anthemic rock, like pop punk, like songs we've been getting before. So that's really cool.
This is the radio hit.
I could see that. Yeah, I could certainly see that.
I love a radio hit. I just want to hear a DJ backsell a song, and that was Gock.
That would be so
2025
funny.
is the year we hear DJs say Gock on the radio. Make it happen.
Make it fucking happen. Let's go. That's so funny.
Manifest.
Okay.
Is another super fucking strong song. This is, I think, just the cutting people out of your life for standing in your way. Especially the fuck me for wanting to be happy, fuck me for wanting to thrive. May the future grant these few things for me. That's the hope that keeps me alive. This could either be the relationship of the someone who was afraid and didn't want you to transition, or the parent, or anybody in your life that tries to stand in your way for what you know will ultimately make you happy.
I could certainly see that. I think the song is probably the closest we get to paralytic states, personally.
Yeah.
Because it's sort of just about like looking... My take on this song is that it's about looking at where you're at in your transition and in your life. Oh, maybe I'm not as far as I wanted to be, or maybe like I've been, I'm not as progressed as I imagined I would be in my mind. Perhaps all of the paths that I've chosen, I may have misstepped along the way, but I'm still going to go forward with this because I'm trying to be happy. I'm trying to be better.
I agree with you there. Especially reading along with the time has become my worst enemy. I've been out for so long. I'm still broke and hate the mirror. I must be doing it wrong. Sometimes I feel like I'm failing. Nothing big has happened in a while. If I had a little more money, I'd be changing up my style. Yeah, this sounds like the what do they call it? The pink plateau.
Yeah.
After the honeymoon phase of coming out and starting your transition and seeing a whole lot of sudden changes, they give you that big boost of euphoria. There is that window of the nothing big has happened in a while. You're waiting for your next big milestone, like you fucking turned 18, now you can do this. You turned 21, now you can do this. Now what? For the rest of your life, now what? What's the next milestone,
Yeah, but it's like in a trans
it's all downhill from here.
Yeah,
exactly.
Where it's like you chose this and like maybe you didn't get as far as you wanted to, I've definitely talked to trans women who've been at it longer than me, who've been there. I'm currently in my second year, so I know I have like time to go before I can say like, this is probably it. You know what I mean? Like I'm still progressing, but I also, I can see that like reaching a certain point with it where it's like, I'm probably not going to get further with my HRT. This is probably where I'm going to be, perhaps I can try like it says, like maybe I'll try changing up my style. Like maybe I could try like, getting some kind of surgery that might help. But those things are difficult to get, and especially if you don't have any money, like you kind of just are stuck there, and like you're always going to feel the dysphoria, babe. You know what I mean? It's never going to go away. But fundamentally, like may the future bring us more happiness than the present does. And also like for me, I'm just happy that I'm not a boy anymore. I think that's so far. I think if that'll be the main thing, that'll be enough for me, honestly. Like,
yeah, there are definitely days where I feel like, is this it? And I mean, I've only been on HRT for very close to 1,000 days. I'm like within a week of 1,000 days.
Okay, look at you.
We're fucking moving, babe. We're moving and a grooving out here. But like, I was actually in a voice call with someone not too long ago, and someone in the chat was talking about how they just feel like their shit isn't doing anything, and Evie actually was the person hosting the voice chat. Friend of the show, Evie, asked when you went through your first puberty, when about year did that start for you? And they said, oh, around this age, like middle school. And they're like, okay, now when about would you say it stopped? And they said, okay, yeah, maybe around college. And they're just like, yeah, it takes a long fucking time. Like, you're not gonna, like, I've said it before, my doctor told me not to expect big changes within 3 to 5 years. I've already seen dramatic changes, and it hasn't even been 3 years. So you never really know. You can never tell how shit is going to work for you. It's a person-by-person basis. But like we said before, comparing yourself to how you were pre-transition is always going to be that, like, look how fucking far you've come,
Absolutely.
Like, you are not there anymore.
Yeah, 100%.
And you're never going to be there again.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. That's the fucking past.
Yeah, and, it's a journey, and, like, I know that for a fact that I'm not going to get as far as I want to, just because, like, that's just how life is. You always envision it more. And you know what? Cis women are like that too. Like, talk to cis women, they're like, yeah, I wish I had bigger tits. I wish I had more, like, I had a more pronounced waist or things like that, or like whatever it might be, And I think, my relationships with cis women have been really helpful for that for me, even though I'm not that far.
It definitely gives you perspective.
It does. It does. I'm really excited to talk about this next song.
I figured.
Okay, so the next song is called "Kiss Your Friends," and this is very important to me because I am one of the polyamorous trans women that exists.
One of the few.
One of the few. Oh, we're so beleaguered. There's so few of us. The chorus is, maybe you should try kissing your friends. There's so much more to life than procreation. The way you think is so boring and mundane. It's time to reframe the relations in your brain. I like that. It speaks to me personally. And also, like, it's very fun to be a trans woman who kisses her friends. A couple lines I really like. Baby, it's no competition. Jump in the pool, see what you're missing. That's like a big thing with like polyamory when it's done right is not about competition, where it's like, I am having this developing situationship with a woman that may progress to something more. And I recently informed my girlfriend about this. And I was just like, and also, like, it's no competition. I, like, reassured her, like, I still love you for everything that you are. And, this other woman is not, like, does not diminish that in any way just because, like, she has my attention sometimes. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's a nice feeling. And when it's done right, it can be really, like, beautiful because it does feel like you're just, like, at a fun pool party where everyone's having a good time and we're all loving each other. You know what I mean? And then also the line, here's my friend, her name is Sophie, hit her up if you get lonely. Is just really fun.
That is very cute.
Yeah, that is very cute. But also, like we mentioned, a lot of trans women are polyamorous, and it has this, like, I think it has this weird effect on our social spaces that I think is worth discussing. Do you have anything to say about that, Moth?
As one of the, unironically, very few, at least seems like it, monogamous trans women, I think a song like this comes from what I've noticed is the, I think, very unfair backlash against polyamorous people. And I think you wouldn't have a song like this if there wasn't such a misunderstanding of what polyamory is. I have seen a lot of people really come down on polyamorous people and the lifestyle recently. It hurts to see from where I'm standing the counter backlash I see sometimes from polyamorous people against monogamous people, because I really do get the fucking 50 Cent what they say fuck me for. Like, I'm just sitting over here minding my fucking business, but you will see people like shitting on monogamy. But I think it's purely reactionary. Like, I don't think polyamorous people inherently have something against monogamous people or being monogamous. It's a reaction from monogamous people being shitty against polyamorous people in the first place, or else you wouldn't have this feeling, this kind of resentment towards each other. I don't understand a lot of what goes into polyamory, but I don't judge it. I never thought of anything negative about it. Like, we were just having this conversation a couple days ago where I was like, I don't know the first thing about it. Like, you're trying to explain it to me about what you were talking about, just like talking to your girlfriend, filling her in on things.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Like I fully, endorse. Like, I don't know. It sounds so weird for me to have to say anything, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it at the end of the day. Like, I don't know what else there really is to say about that.
I guess I'm sympathetic to monogamous trans women like yourself, and also something that we discussed privately, and you can cut this out if you'd like, but just like the idea that like, because it's such a big part of a lot of the trans community, it can feel like you're missing out because that's just not your lifestyle. That's just not how you want to be. And I think that's unfortunate. You know what I mean? Because I don't want people to feel left out. And also to respond to what you were talking about the backlash and the counter backlash. I think it's actually extremely abrasive and annoying when polyamorous people try to say that polyamory is the best way to be, or it's the only ethical way to be, or much better inherently than monogamy. I don't think that at all. I think that it's just about what you're comfortable with and what you like. And if you like to be polyamorous, you should be. And that's another thing that I like about this song, is that it's it's not saying that you have to be. It's saying maybe you should try. You know what I mean? It's not this is the only way to be. It's you could be any way you want to be. And one of the ways you could be is this, where you just kiss your friends all the time. And it's fun. And I like that. I love how open-ended it is. And it's just hey, we're having a great time. Maybe you should try it if you want. You know what I mean? And that's it.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, how polyamorous people should be and how we should talk about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I definitely get the vibe from people who... And it's why I kind of I always liked this song, but I guess it just kind of hits a raw nerve because of what I see on Twitter a lot. Especially with lines like, the way you think is so boring and mundane. Because that is typically what I see from... polyamorous people who are responding to monogamous people, is that you're living a boring life. And I don't think I'm living a boring life. I love my life and I love how things are going.
Yeah.
And fuck it, I'll leave it in. It's whatever. Because I've tweeted about it and stuff like that. But I went back and forth about feelings about that. But I think ultimately, what it really does tap into me is the kind of FOMO in general. If I'm just seeing a bunch of people hanging out, even not fucking, I feel like I want to be hanging out, and that's also me. That's kind of how I look at it, of this is the form of communication. This is a way that y'all like to enjoy hanging out. And it's sometimes I do feel left out by not really desiring that. But it's this is what a lot of people are interested in. And it's I just want to fucking hang out and watch movies or whatever. But a lot of people, that might seem boring. And it's I can't help you.
Yeah.
It's it's what I'm into. So that times it can be a little isolating, especially on Twitter, when my main thing on Twitter is finding friends, making just creating stronger friendships with people. And when I reach out to people and when I comment on people's things, I like the validation I get from being followed back, not because I want to fuck these people, but because it's being seen. It's having a potential new friend. And that's ultimately what I want out of the social media experience. But it does feel sometimes people do value sexual relationships over casual friendships. And I feel sometimes I get kind of left out in the cold with that. I think that's Twitter. And, like, Twitter isn't real life, you know, as we've said. I do think that's a big part of the trans Twitter experience.
I think so, too. People are trying to hook up.
It can be isolating sometimes, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. And, you know, I think it's unfortunate that there's, like, so much pressure to, like, be part of that scene just because people are trying to hook up and, like, so many people are polyamorous and it's just, like, so pervasive. But I hope that, you know, we can, you know, we can kind of, you know, get the idea across that, like, it's okay also to be in a committed monogamous relationship and still be an important member of, like, the trans community. You know what I mean? Because, like, so often it feels like that's everyone is polyamorous. You know what I mean? Everyone is, like, hooking up with each other or wants to or trying to. And, like, I also gotta say, sometimes it's weird when, like, being in the, like, polyamorous trans community where, like, you don't want to hook up with someone and you're also polyamorous because like, you know, it's one thing to be like, oh, I'm monogamous, I can't, you know, but then to actually be like, no, I'm sorry, I just don't think we vibe like that is, like, a much more difficult thing.
To not have that buffer.
Right, just because it's like you have to actually just reject and like someone, you know what I mean? Like, you can't just be like,
that's rough.
Oh, yeah, no, sorry, I just don't vibe with you. Which is why, and I'm so sorry if you're listening to this and I've done this to you, I tend to just ghost. But also sometimes if I haven't responded to you in a while, it's not necessarily that. But also if you listen to this and then you reach out to me and I don't respond, it is you. Sorry. I don't like doing it, but also, you know, like, I that's bad, actually. That's a bad thing. I should just be upfront with people and be like, I'm sorry, I don't think we vibe like that. Because letting people, like, hang on like that is not okay. I just want to be so sweet. I want people to like me, and I don't want to reject them, and it's hard.
Me and you are definitely people pleasers in that way, that letting people down is not very easy for me, but I've had to do it a number of times. I've, you know, and this isn't patting myself on the back, but just being conversational here. There have been quite a number of times where I've made a new friend and within a couple conversations had to been like, down girl, chill out a little bit, because I'm not available. And I will say, to the credit of everybody I have said that to, everybody has been super respectful of that. No one's been weird about that. Everyone has understood and been very respectful. So I haven't run into any super awkward conversations. Hopefully I didn't just jinx it, but
hopefully, yes.
That's nice, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And and I will say it is always very flattering. Even if I am monogamous, it is nice to know that people are interested. You know?
Yeah,
it is
validating.
a nice little ego boost.
Yeah.
Even if it's something I'm not going to pursue, it's just kind of nice to be like, yeah, I'm, you know, people find me desirable outside the relationship. I mean, it just feels, it also does make me feel included in the conversation, even if I'm not actively involved in the conversation, you know? It's a little tangential kind of thing.
Yeah, I love that for you, honestly. That's good.
And look, just because I'm monogamous does not mean I can't be a fucking total slut for my partner, okay?
Yeah, so true.
That doesn't make me any less of a massive slut, because look, y'all...
Some of the raunchiest things I've ever heard another trans woman say have come out of your sweet little mouth. I gotta say that, okay? And you know what? That's fucking powerful. And yeah, that's also so true too, which is that, like, you know, you don't have to be monogamous to be, like, sexually liberated. You know, you can be sexually liberated.
Right.
Sorry, you don't have to be polyamorous to be sexually liberated. You can be monogamous and be sexually liberated as well. It's totally possible. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I'm living proof.
Yes, exactly. Okay, last song.
We're here. Wow.
We're here. And this one is a tough one, but it's a great album closer, I think.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
I also, it's good that I already mentioned the transitioning to a life without you and how it haunts me, how I said it was just a breakup.
Yeah.
But it's actually about her mom. This one, I'm calling it right now. It's about a parent. It's about a parent or a mom, probably. That's my guess.
Yes, I think so also.
Yeah, it's also longer. It goes through like several movements, which I think is kind of cool, especially for an album closer.
Yes.
So we love that.
One thing I didn't mention is the fucking key change in Kiss Your Friends. I'm a fucking sucker for a key change,
Oh,
and I
of
had to
course.
point it out in there.
I forgot about the key change.
I know we're not doing like review style conversations here, but which song was it where there was like they did this kind of like glitch effect on the vocals a little bit? Was that in? I think that might have been in Leash Trained Patriot, where they almost kind of do this little glitching on the vocals a little bit. I think it was in that one.
It's like it's a little bit Butthole Surfers.
Yeah, Butthole Surfers. I almost got a little bit like Hybrid Theory album Linkin Park, where they kind of do that little like stutter on the vocals that they do for Mike. Yeah, I love that little style that they throw in. Again, every fucking song is so different and adds something different to the album.
Absolutely. This is certainly like a record and also a band that punches way above their weight class. Like they're pretty tiny.
Good Lord.
But like in terms of like their following, like if you look at their monthly like listeners on Spotify or whatever, they're solidly like that local band kind of vibe. Like local bands starting to get like some like traction outside of the local scene, but like they are punching way above their weight class here. They're like truly. So yeah, maybe this year we will hear a radio DJ say the word Gock, and I would love that.
To bring it back to transgender dysphoria blues, Change Your Mind is the feeling I get when Change Your Mind comes on after Kiss Your Friends is very similar to the feeling I get with the opening riff of Black Me Out.
Yes.
It really is the well-deserved you made it. This is the last song on the album. Really does feel like an end of the album song. Like there's nowhere to go after this.
Yeah, it does.
Like this is the closer. And I think it does such an amazing job. Yeah.
I wholeheartely agree. Yeah.
It's so fucking good. This whole album is amazing. I love it so much.
God. Okay. Do you want to get into the lyrics of this one?
Yeah, sure. Let's go ahead.
It wouldn't make a difference if I changed. You wouldn't change your mind. All of my life, I wanted something you said I couldn't have. It's not a stretch to say I'm haunted. Your searing words plague my head. I relate to that so much, especially now that I'm like looking back and I'm doing like inner child work right now. I'm like looking back in my past and, I'm like, when were times when I was younger that I wished to be a woman, and how far back did it go? And it went back so far, Moth, like, oh my God, like, yeah, like at least when I was 10 or like earlier than that, probably, you know what I mean? I think when I was like 6, I very distinctly remember saying that I didn't want to be a boy. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's like, it's been a long time coming. And, I've also been thinking about like other experiences that I had. I remember like, I think I was like 9 or 10 and I had like kind of like a gay experience with a boy and I got caught and my parents freaked the fuck out. And I think that actually held me back more than almost anything else. Like, beyond, like, being bullied as a kid or things like that, you know what I mean? Definitely haunts me. That definitely is seared into my head in some ways. And it took a long time for me to break that down and to, like, unwork the knots that put in me.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So many ways you nitpick and you shame, never enough by design, and then it repeats... It wouldn't make a difference if I changed. You wouldn't change your mind. And that's why I think it's about a mother.
Yeah.
And how do we feel about that?
Yeah.
Because I know, like, we've had our struggles with our moms, and, like, both of our moms have kind of come around a little bit. And I'm so thankful for that on my end. But still, you know, there's a little bit of that, certainly.
I think both of our moms could probably still do a little bit of work and figure stuff out. I am thankful that they've both come around as far as they did. In my case, it went from a very resistant reaction when I first told her to, you remember a couple years ago when people first started kind of arguing against trans people a lot, you know, around the time I fucking started transitioning, conveniently enough.
Yeah.
Liberal parents are excited when their kids are trans because then they have something to brag about. And people were like, that's insane.
Yeah.
Why would a parent want to brag? My mom does that now.
Oh, look at you.
To be fair, this has been her MO since I was a kid. I was pressured a lot growing up to do very, very well in school because she wanted to brag about me. She wanted to brag about my grades.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't come from a great place. She, from a very young age, for me, was in very steep competition with her siblings and their kids, and just insisted that I would have the best grades because she didn't want anyone in the family to outdo her as a parent, which she has apologized for putting way too much pressure on me.
That's good, at least.
Because growing up and pressuring to have good grades and do better academically than my parents did, because neither of them went to college, so me graduating college was very important. Like, embracing not being smart sometimes as, like, a goof or whatever is extremely liberating. Like,
because you were forced to be smart your whole life.
Yeah, and just be like, no, fuck it, I'm fucking dumb sometimes. Like, that feels so good to just not have that fucking pressure of just, like no thinky moments, you know? Like, I'm turning my brain off. I'm not fucking thinking. Those feelings, those times feel so good. But she has told me recently that she'll talk to people she hasn't talked to in a long time. Not because of this, but when it comes up, she'll be like, oh, you know so-and-so? They're Moth now, and she's trans, and it's just like, she's my daughter, and like, have this little moment.
Yeah, that's still, like, I still appreciate that, even if it has that undertone for you about, like, you know.
Yeah. I think it's cute. I'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, my mom is coming around. Like, I, recently, like, she asked me if she could call me Sio, because she had a friend named Siobhan when she was younger, and she always called her Sio. And that was, like, a good moment. Oh,
that's so cute!
Yeah. That was definitely a good moment. I mean, she still does the thing where she talks about, like, my child instead of my daughter. But she'll say, like, she'll call me her daughter in DMs a lot, but, like, never, like, publicly. So we're working on it.
I hope that changes.
We're working on it.
That is an improvement.
Yes.
Definitely. I think it's definitely getting there.
Yeah, we're getting there. And you know what? Either way, she's stuck with me because she only had one kid and it's me. So...
Exactly, same. Yeah.
To close out this song, because it seems like the singer here has not had the same experience. It seems like it's been more negative. Like the lines, I'm giving up on feeling wanted. I'm giving up on your pride. Because of you, I've been stunted. I will choose to live my life. And that's, you know, I think, you know, she would relate to our feelings of, like, you know, our parents being, like, proud of us as being, like, a linchpin of our childhood and sometimes pushing us to do things and restricting us, stunting us, if you will. But it's important to choose your own life, right? And then finally, I will choose to love myself. I will choose to live my life. I am enough by design, and you cannot change my mind. Is so good. That is, like, especially for, like, a final thing to say on the record. That's a very, very powerful closer for this one. So that's Gock Presents Gock. So this is She They Just Like Me for Real presents Gock Presents Gock. There you
That's
go.
the name of the episode.
There you go.
There you go. Couldn't have made it any easier.
Perfect. Okay.
And that wraps it up in a nice little shell. That fucking tucks the Gock. I don't know.
It's quite a meaty tuck, I'll say.
Well, for one of us, maybe. But yeah, I had a lot of fun talking about this. I think it's a phenomenal record. I think everyone should listen to it.
Absolutely.
And I always thank people for listening to the album and spending time with us. I first of all want to thank everyone for being here.
Yes.
And I want to thank y'all for living and being with us, because that's what we need more than anything. Is we need y'all to be alive.
If you're trans, you must survive. If you are trans, you must survive. Please.
That is the prime directive. If you are trans, you must survive. And hopefully the words from the elders can help. Hopefully this podcast can help in some way.
Hopefully Gock can help. All right.
Gock can definitely help. Look, I've been singing the praises of Gock for years now.
Oh my goodness.
But seriously, though, thank you so much for spending your time with us. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you're not following us on Twitter, I guess follow us on Twitter. Hopefully that can help too.
Yeah. We love you. Stay alive.
Find community in either Twitter. Community helps a lot, but local community is better.
Yes.
Join local Discords if you can. Meet up with local trans people. Talk with them. We will get through this. Absolutely. Like, I know it's harder around the country. I know I'm speaking from a place of privilege when I say that. And I know it's easier said than done for a lot of people. I think community is going to be key. Communication between us is going to make us stronger. And we need each other more than ever.
Yes.
And we need y'all more than ever. So, more than ever before, stay strong, bitches.
Stay strong, bitches. Stay alive, bitches. I want to see all of you in the mosh pit for Gock's first national tour, whenever it may happen. I'm going to be there. Yeah. And this is She They Just Like Me for Real, signing off.
Signing Gock.
Signing Gock.
Sign my Gock if I go to the Gock show, please. The theme song for She They Just Like Me for Real is performed by Stella Dolce. You can follow Stella on TikTok and Instagram and hear her music across all major streaming platforms.
Do you want to do a clap?
Yes, because